Parliament has two primary roles, particularly when it comes to climate change. I mean, the one role is that of legislation. So we have to survey the current legislative framework in the country and work out where the gaps are in terms of dealing with climate change. And as a process of doing that, the department has come to Parliament with the Green Paper on climate change. And so we've had quite extensive public hearings on this Green Paper. We've looked at the various plans that have been put forward by different departments, and we've provided very good oversight in terms of making sure that these plans then get operated on. So that's the one role. I mean, the other role is, of course, general oversight and making sure that departments are living up to their responsibilities in terms of what they've put forward as their particular plans. And this we do in various different committee meetings, such as water and environment, such as energy, public enterprises, agriculture, in fact, across the board. We've looked at the Green Paper on climate change, which has been brought to us by the Department of Water and Environment. They've been the lead department on this. And in that Green Paper, it includes plans of all different departments. So it includes plans from agriculture, from energy, from water and environment, from transport. And it's looked at a whole range of options which they believe should be implemented by these different departments. The real nub of this, though, is whether these plans will in fact be implemented and who will have oversight over all of these various departments in ensuring that that gets pushed forward. I think that an institution like, for instance, the National Planning Commission should probably have some of that authority to ensure that all departments are living up to those responsibilities in the Green Paper. You know, I've been very involved in the IRP2 process. I mean, we've been trying to push it from Parliament's side in terms of providing oversight, both in terms of how it's run its processes around public participation and making sure everyone's issues are taken on board and at least heard. We've also then scrutinized some of the final documents coming out from the IRP2, and the original IRP2 in fact had even more fossil fuels in it and even less renewables. So we have seen a little bit of a shift there, which I think has been welcome. But when one interrogates the numbers, you find that the share of renewable energy in terms of actual electricity generated by 2030 only comes to 9%. Now, this is still a massive disjuncture from the past, where there was no renewable energies in any of our energy planning before. So we have seen a major shift in terms of South Africa saying we have to embrace renewables. I don't think it's gone far enough. And I think it hasn't gone far enough also in the sense of, with only 9%, you're not going to get the true kind of local industries being built up around renewable energy. A lot of this now will then have to be imported, because the sum of renewable energy is not enough to really spur on that local industry. So I have certainly been propounding quite vehemently that in fact we have to increase that target. What I would like to see is what's contained in the South African Renewables Initiative, which talks about a 15% target by 2020, because I think that that can then provide a very solid platform for us to push up our targets for 2030 and for 2050. But it is going to require some financing from overseas, and it's going to require us to really cement our targets and our plans and our policies across these different departments to ensure that we reach such an ambitious target. Well, I think in the last year or so, we've seen a fundamental shift in the Energy Committee in Parliament. I think, well, we've got a new chairperson in place now who I think is very passionate about these issues and has certainly kept us far busier in terms of interrogating these particular issues and bringing stakeholders on board to come and share their concerns. Now, one of the concerns that has been raised and one of the big barriers around renewable energy uptake is in fact the delays around the renewable energy feed-in tariff. This was announced 2 years ago, prices were put out, and we had a lot of investors flood into South Africa trying to get their project feasibility studies up and running, investing a lot of money in doing that. And we've got now a huge amount of interest in fact, doing proper renewable energy projects in South Africa. Problem is there's been a huge delay in the issuing of the PPAs. There's also been now a huge uncertainty created in the market because now they've wanted to reduce some of the refit tariffs. And now there's even speculation that they might even do away with the whole concept of a feed-in tariff and go to a tendering process in which the lowest cost bidder will then get that particular project. Now this, I think, is a huge mistake if we're going to go in that direction, because this has been proven internationally that a refit is the best way to really push in renewable energy and get it out there as fast as possible. But clearly the uncertainty that's been created in the market now is driving a lot of investors away and making it very difficult for us to reach our targets around renewable energy. We have sent a parliamentary delegation to both the COP15 in Copenhagen as well as to Cancun last year in COP16. And I think we gained valuable experience as a parliamentary delegation as to what to expect from Durban and as to what kind of processes are operating and how we should engage with them. Following on from that, though, we've now set up a steering committee in Parliament, which I think is headed by Cedric Frolick, who's in the Whip's office. He's one of the parliamentarians and he's a major whip in terms of that. And he has, I think, taken the initiative to set up the steering committee, which comprises chairpersons of the various committees that are affected by climate change. And they sit on this committee as well as members from other parties. And they've got a couple of focus areas. One of them, which they've now put me on that committee as well, is to green Parliament, which I think is a very important initiative, something which I've been fighting for a long time. So hopefully ahead of COP17, we will see Parliament itself as an institution become sufficiently green to be able to play that kind of leadership role in terms of the implementation of different energy technologies and behavioral changes. So that's certainly happening on that front. But we also want to use Parliament as a way of reaching other constituencies through our constituency offices, trying to build up the awareness around COP17, what it means for South Africa, the importance of this event and the importance of actually getting a legally binding and ambitious deal in Durban at the end of the year.